Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Calls for more laws to help prevent discrimination towards people living with about HIV. 400 Jamaicans could die from a fourth wave. And later in sports, West Indies hold slender lead over Sri Lanka at end of day. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. We begin this afternoon with a Midday News special report. As the globe celebrates World AIDS Day, the Jamaica AIDS Support for Life is calling for general anti-discriminatory laws and greater protection of health information to prevent discrimination towards people living with or affected by HIV/AIDS. Our reporter Sandy Williams has the details.
This year marks 40 years since the first 5 cases of AIDS were officially reported globally. Since the start of the epidemic, more than 36 million people, including hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans, have died from AIDS-related illness around the world. With the help of advanced technology, though, significant progress has been made on a global scale in preventing and treating HIV/AIDS. But the epidemic still remains a threat, especially locally, as inequity, inequality, and discrimination continues to affect people living with or affected by the illness.
You have nurses who would, like, all right, then you are positive. Miss, I don't want to touch your child. Miss, I don't want to take your blood, or, that sort of thing.
We spoke with a woman living with HIV for more than 20 years. We'll call her Mary. Mary says some members of her family do not know her status because of fear of discrimination.
I have a brother who said, wow, you could have lived in one house with somebody with HIV positive. And we were living in the same house. I used to cook for him. I can't eat anything unless he's partaking of it. So it was, kind of hard.
People living with HIV are not the only ones who face AIDS-related discrimination. Patrick Laylaw is the Policy and Advocacy Officer at the Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, JASL.
You may find that a mother is positive, so her children is facing the discrimination at school when people assume that because your mother is positive, you are too. So discrimination against people living with HIV is still very rampant.
One of the issues that we have is unauthorized disclosure of HIV status, where in treatment sites that aren't JASL, where that's very strict here, you'll find medical professionals or administrative professionals in those places sharing the fact that they would have come in contact with someone living with HIV that may be known to them or known to their community. And so that causes stigma and discrimination within the community and then further increases the vulnerability of these persons living with HIV.
Legal Support Officer at JASL, Jade Williams, reasons that one of the drivers of discrimination is the lack of legal protection for people living with or affected by HIV/AIDS.
So what we do have is our policies. We have 2 national policies, our National HIV Workplace Policy and our National HIV Policy, that gives guidelines, as all policies do, as to how persons living with HIV should be treated in certain circumstances. So whether that's in the workplace, whether that's in a health center, so on. But those are policies, and the policies are not enforceable. Laws are. And right now, we don't have any laws that speak to stigma and discrimination generally, but also specifically stigma and discrimination related to persons living with HIV.
Section 13 of the Constitution provides for non-discrimination. However, your health status is not included on the list for protection. Therefore, Ms. Williams says the law needs to be amended.
One thing that we'd love to see is some stronger privacy protections for medical information. And we'd love to see the repeal or adjustment of some of the discriminatory laws that I would have mentioned before that criminalize sex work and criminalize sexual activity between 2 men.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
To other news, the parliamentary opposition is again calling for the health ministry to increase coronavirus testing. The latest call was made in the House of Representatives last evening. O'Shane Masters reports.
Following the detection of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 in South Africa, some countries, including Jamaica, have imposed a travel ban on some African countries. Opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Maurice Guy, is now questioning the decision.
We have acted in a way that has there's no equity there. I hear your point about we banned from India when the variant was found there and from South African countries. But there has been the talk about that.
It's not unfortunate. I wouldn't describe it as such. I just describe it as being cautious. And we must always err on the side of caution when it comes to our responsibility, our fiduciary responsibility to the people of Jamaica in this case. And I think that's what we have done. Having said that, the process is constantly under review. So to the extent that the threat dissipates, we will review, and we will do so in a relatively short period of time to avoid no inconvenience or limited inconvenience to those who are so affected.
And with the government not able to test locally for variants of the virus, Dr. Guy has raised questions about the number of samples sent overseas for testing. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, in his presentation to Parliament on Tuesday, said since this week, some 49 samples have been sent to the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, 80 to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and 20 to CARPHA for genome sequencing. But that was not enough for the opposition.
But what we'd like to know as well as a country is that prior to this week that the 49 were sent, what have been the numbers that have been sent on a continuous basis or consistent basis so that Jamaica will know what is here, your authorities will know what is here, and how we can plan for that. To tell us today that 49 was sent within the past week leaves us in the dark as to what was sent before and what are the variants that are here and have been found so far.
When we get results that are out of the ordinary, we will announce, as we did with the previous new strain. If we get a result that suggests that this strain is here, then we will make it public. Up to this point, it has been the ones that we're accustomed to, and we continue to.
In the meantime, with a high possibility of a fourth wave of COVID-19 affecting the island, Jamaicans are being warned to be more vigilant in their infection prevention and control measures as the virus remains a clear and present danger. Speaking in Parliament on Tuesday, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said based on projections, a possible fourth wave could see hundreds more Jamaicans dying from the respiratory illness.
And based on the projections from the surveillance team, could see up to 11,000 new cases during the peak week and the possibility of up to 400 deaths if it goes unabated, if we do not take measures. That's the modeling for a potential fourth wave. This, of course, will mean an overwhelming of the public health system and will create another set of challenges which we are hoping not to have to deal with.
4 more people have died from the coronavirus. 1 was previously under investigation. The overall death toll now stands at 2,396. Jamaica also recorded 23 new COVID-19 cases from 808 test samples. The positivity rate is 3.5%. The country's case count is now 91,272 people. There are 716 active cases. 155 people are being treated for the virus at hospitals, 8 are critically ill, and 16 are moderately ill. In the meantime, 24 more Jamaicans have recovered from the virus as of Tuesday. Total recoveries now stand at 62,666. And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. A prisoner who was awaiting extradition is now on the run after escaping from the Kingston Central Police lockup this morning. TVJ News has been informed that 27-year-old Orville Purnell escaped about 5 o'clock this morning. He was described as a high-risk prisoner. Police personnel were conducting checks of the cells when it was discovered that Mr. Purnell, who was in isolation from other detainees, had escaped. Mr. Purnell, a resident of Belgium Road in Buff Bay, Portland, was arrested in July. He was scheduled to appear in court on December 6 for an extradition hearing. Mr. Purnell escaped the custody of the St. Lucian Police in October 2020, days after he was charged with the murder of a man on August 25. A community in turmoil is the picture painted by residents in Riverton City, St. Andrew, where gang feuds and murders are on the rise. O'Shane Masters reports.
A gang feud in Riverton City for over 5 years.
I don't know what the reason why the war just continue like this from 2015 until now. In a really relevant and necessary.
Residents say they constantly live in fear, evident as not one person was willing to appear on camera. They say over the period, almost every family has lost a loved one. One resident says she has lost count.
About 5 or 10 or 6, I don't know, but a lot of close friends gone.
Despite our probing, no one could say what is the root of the killings. But in recent times, shops have been forced to close early, while working residents fear leaving and entering the area. They are desperately calling for the intervention of their representatives. They also want new security measures.
The police not really do enough because Riverton City is a place like this. You have so many different getaway. So if the police them really come in a Riverton, them don't really know the getaway place them. You understand me? I say, because even the police themselves afraid. Even the police themselves afraid because if them come and them park off here an hour, them gone.
Man walk past those go kill man, you know. State of emergency. Remember Riverton real big, you know. Yeah. So the two of them would have make sense. But what the people in the community, we need somebody for stand up for we. We need the MP now and we need the council.
Right now the community that need right now a community meeting from the MP, councillor. All the station have to be involved in this. I swear, we need the community them, call the bed shanty. If the community combine, can call a meeting. You see, because right now everybody depends on who next.
They are also calling for the churches to step up to help end the violence. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
The tourism product development company TPDCO has officially launched the new tourist mobile app called Explore Jamaica. Locals and visitors can now use the app to access information on the different licensed and coronavirus COVID-19 compliant tourist entities within the 6 resort areas. According to the executive director Wade Mars, the pandemic has opened possibilities to technology which can enhance service.
This mobile app will not take away the value of quality of our services. Instead, it will allow us to be more responsive and will give our guests the opportunity to connect with the destination even more.
The app can be accessed from the Google Play Store and will soon be available to iOS users. In business internationally, European inflation has hit a 24-year high. According to the EU Statistics Office, Eurostat, annual inflation across the 19 countries that use the euro hit 4.9% in November, driven mainly by soaring energy prices. That's the highest rate since 1997. Eurostat estimates energy prices rose by 27.4% in November, and services inflation grew 2.7%. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In this evening's Health Report, we'll look at the COVID-19 variant known as Omicron.
Of course, we really don't know to what extent the virus so far has been transmitted worldwide. Of course, we are a tourist destination, and it is possible that persons may have come here. But again, we can't say that unless we can directly link, travelers to areas where the virus is. And currently, there are very, very low numbers of cases for example, in the countries in Europe where it's been detected so far, and there haven't been any cases so far detected in North America.
That's the Health Report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Stay home as much as you can. Keep a safe distance. Wash hands often. Cover your cough. Sick, call ahead.
And with the top regional and international stories, here's Sandy Williams.
In the region, the Belize-based Caribbean Community Climate Change Center will on December 7 host a regional climate change and health forum as part of efforts to sensitize Caribbean people about the effects of climate change on health. The virtual forum will be held under the European Union Caribbean Forum CARIFORUM project titled Strengthening Climate Resilient Health Systems in the Caribbean. The 2-hour forum is expected to drive interest from across CARIFORUM countries and spotlight the collaborative work being done by partners and stakeholders to build the resilience of the region's health systems and to address the critical impacts of climate change on the population of the Caribbean. On the international scene, the EU Commission has put forward a coordinated EU approach to address challenges from the resurgence of COVID-19 in many member states this fall. In a statement on Wednesday, the Commission said member states should continue to implement a joint strategy to limit the entry of the Omicron variant into the EU with regular daily reviews of essential travel restrictions. The European Union Commission President said Europe is in a race against the clock to step up its vaccination and booster programs amid concerns over the Omicron variant hitting its shores. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have the midday sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Sri Lanka trails the West Indies side by 3 runs with 8 second innings wickets remaining at stumps on day 3 of the second test in Galle.
Unlike the first 2 days, rain stayed away from the southwestern coast of Sri Lanka as the West Indian batters were looking to put some runs on the board. Skipper Craig Brathwaite and Jamaican Nkrumah Bonner went to work and put on 75 runs for the second wicket. In the process, Brathwaite brought up his 23rd Test half-century. But wickets tumbled and Brathwaite was not able to get to 3 figures as he departed for 72, West Indies' highest scorer in the innings. Shea Hope and Roston Chase had starts, but they didn't stay long as Sri Lanka took the last 9 West Indian wickets for 116 runs. Ramesh Mendis was the key man for the home side as he took 6 for 70. Kyle Mayers was left unbeaten on 36 as the West Indies were bowled out for 253 inside 105 overs. The Caribbean side held a lead of 49 runs. The Windies were back in the field again and they had 2 excellent runouts. Myers run out the skipper Karunaratne for 6 with the score at 7 for 1 before Fernando was run out by Blackwood and De Silva for 14 with the score at 39 for 2. At stumps, the home side reached 46 for 2 and trailed the Windies by 3 runs. Myers says the Caribbean side will need to maintain the same intensity in the field on day 4 to stand any chance of victory.
I think keep on the run rate and play some pressure. Be a heady game now. If you start them from scoring, runs are crucial coming into the last day. At least the more the runs they get, the better for us. So if we could keep the pressure on and try to squeeze some wickets early out tomorrow in the first hour, I think we'd be great.
Day 4 action bowls off at 11:30 p.m. Jamaica time. Sri Lanka leads the 2-match test series 1.
To football we go now as Reggae Boys defender Michael Hector has been selected in the English Championship Team of the Month for November. The 29-year-old played 3 matches for Fulham in November as his side kept 2 clean sheets and picked up 7 points. The recent good form has seen Fulham move to the top of the table in the Championship on 43 points. Hector's last involvement for Jamaica came at the 2021 edition of the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Meanwhile, West Bromwich Albion defender Kyle Bartley, who was born to Jamaican parents, is also in the Championship Team of the Month. The top 3 teams currently in the Championship are home to 5 Jamaican internationals. Bobby Reid, Michael Hector and Fulham are at the top of the table. Jamal Lowe's Bournemouth are second, while Andre Gray and Dylan Barnes' Queen's Park Rangers are third. And finally this afternoon, Reggae Boys forward Mikel Antonio and West Ham United will be looking to maintain their position in the top 4 of the English Premier League as they host Brighton and Hove Albion at the London Stadium this afternoon. The Hammers are 4th in the table on 23 points, while Brighton are 9th on 18 points. Kickoff is at 2:30 Jamaica time. In other matches at 2:30, Southampton will host Leicester City. Wolves battles Burnley, while Watford entertains Chelsea. At 3:15, Leon Bailey and Aston Villa will welcome Manchester City at Villa Park. Everton will also host Liverpool at Goodison Park in the Merseyside derby at 3:15. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Giovanni, it is over to you.
Thanks so much, Simon, and that's it indeed for the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.